Hello and welcome to Sobertown. This is Karina with my next episode on positive recovery, being made for www.sobertownpodcast.com. It is your one-shop sobriety shop and it's all free, so head on over there for lots of great resources to help with your sober journey. Today I wanted to talk about my favourite word, my key one word for a good and happy life and for recovery of anything really, physical and emotional distress, and sobriety, and that is acceptance. It's a small word, but it makes a huge difference to your life. If we don't accept things that are happening to us or accept things in our life, we tend to resist. And resistance leads to frustration, anger, depression, and self-harm sometimes. Because I've been thinking about this today and thinking that actually drinking alcohol is resistance, because we're resisting what's going on in our lives. We're numbing ourselves to the pain. And we're back to the old hula hoop, I'm afraid. The swirly hula hoop that goes around our hips. I was never very good at doing that, but I'm much better at visualising it on the floor, standing in the middle of it, and recognising that that is my area of control. Anything that happens outside of that is out of my control, and I have to just accept what is going on. I've been thinking of an example. An example was when I was being made medically retired. I didn't want to be medically retired. I knew I couldn't cope and carry on with my nursing. I was walking in every day, crawling in virtually on my hands and knees, crying with pain. And by the time I got home, that was it. I just, I needed help to get undressed and get my pyjamas on. I could virtually have the energy to eat. And the weekends I just would stay in my pyjamas all day, and I just had no life because I was still wanting to work. And when I started going through my medical retirement, I was obviously off sick, and my drinking got worse and worse. I did spend some time, probably till about 2:00 in the afternoon when I was sober, and during that time I would try and work on the acceptance and coming to terms with the fact that I was going to be made medically retired and that I was losing my beloved career, because I didn't want it to be happening. So I'd start my drinking at about 2:00 and then I'd just numb myself to it. And that drinking is just resisting what's happening. I had no control. I had no power over it. It was going to happen anyway. Me drinking wasn't helping it. It was happening to me. But even though I didn't really want it to happen, I did know deep down that it was the best thing for me. And now that I am retired, I am so grateful because I have a life again. And it really is the best thing that happened, because I had time to look at me, to look at my life. And do you know what, as well, we often say this with us mental health nurses, is that we spend a lot of our time helping other people so that we don't have to look at our own stuff. When we're nursing and doing mental health nursing, our own stuff does come up from time to time because we have transference where people will tell us things or things will happen which remind us of things that have happened in our own life. And it can cause quite a lot of upset. But the way I used to deal with that was come home and open the bottle. So even though I had triggers there, pointing me to deal with my own shit, I never did. I just drank through it and then would dive into work again the next day and, just absolve myself in other people's problems so I didn't have to think about my own. When I got made medically retired, I then also got sober and I had time. And that's something that you fear initially in sobriety, is what am I going to do with all that time? What am I going to do if I don't drink? But that time now to me is precious. It really is gold. And that has given me time to work on me. Sometimes I catch myself getting absorbed, that's the word I'm looking for, getting absorbed in lots of sober stuff, so lots of sober support, lots of ladies groups and groups. I am sober at the Sober Town podcast, and every now and again I have to step back and I have to say to myself that I have to work on me, because again it's easy to help others and not look at our own stuff. And I have to accept that that is what I'm doing sometimes. Not resist it, but just accept it and acknowledge it, and to take my control back over that and do some working on me. Because we do talk about connection in sobriety, and connection really, really is key, but we also have to take some time to connect to ourselves. And that is something I've had to work quite hard on, and that's something I have to accept. Resistance would just lead me to being a dry drunk and not working on my own sobriety. And it could potentially lead me back to drinking. I don't think that's something that will ever happen, but I won't ever get complacent about that. I have to accept that that will always be a risk for me. Although drinking isn't part of my life anymore, I don't really think about having a drink. I don't get that demon voice coming anymore. I have to accept that it's still there, lurking in the backgrounds. And that just makes me more comfortable. Acceptance brings relief. Acceptance gets rid of anxiety. Acceptance brings joy and happiness. If we resist stuff that's going on around us, it really just does bring misery, increases anxiety, causes depression and frustration and anger. So the more we can accept, the easier our own life will be. Just try and think about something that you are resisting in your life. You might not even realise that you're resisting it. It might just be something that perhaps causes you anxiety, or causes you to feel angry, or makes you feel frustrated. Sometimes it's helpful just to tune into the feeling before we actually even realise what the cause is. So just tune into that feeling. What is it that really makes you feel anxious? What is it that really makes you feel angry or frustrated? Just have a little think about that. And then just examine the circumstances around it. And to look to see what is within your control. What is within inside your hula hoop. And what is outside. And if it's out of our control, we just have to accept it. But in doing so, what we have to do is change our response to it. We have to take those deep breaths. They really, really are key. Big, deep breaths. And just try and relax into it and accept that we cannot change what others do. We cannot change what's happening in this big, wild world of ours right now. It's beyond our control. All we can do is change our response to it. So learning your area of control and learning to accept that and accept that it's only our response that we can change is really key. Because, now here's the thing, nobody can make us feel upset. Nobody can make us feel anxious or frustrated or angry. It is actually quite simply that we allow them to do that. We allow ourselves to respond in that way. I know it's easy for me to say, sitting here, and believe me, there's still lots of shit that I'm still working on. And actually just in doing this little podcast today, it's helped me because I've sat here and thought, yeah, Karina, you're still not working on that bit. So there's something that I need to go off and keep working on. There's something that I keep resisting in my life. And I just have to accept that that is how it is. I'm not going to change other people. I can only change myself. I can only be responsible for me in the same way that only you can be responsible for you. So I hope that you've enjoyed this very short podcast. I hope it's given you a little bit of insight into a really, really huge word that is key to recovery and enjoyment in our life, and that is acceptance. Goodbye for now. I'll catch you again soon.